الصبح بدا 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 من طلعته والليل دجا من وفرته فأقر رسلا فضلا وعلا أهدى السبلا بدلالته فأقر رسلا فضلا وعلا أهدى السبلا بدلالته الله 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 الله.
So I found out about the event from my boss at Cumbria Youth Alliance. I work with a young Syrian who speaks Arabic, so I was quite interested to come and discover a little bit more about Islam because it's very important to him. I was extremely welcomed as I've arrived at the event. My child has been made very welcome. I've spoken to some extremely interesting people because there's a lot of negativity about Islam in the press often, and it's very much shows in this exhibition that it's all about peace, which is very nice to hear. I have learned to write my name, and the gentleman who wrote my name for me has I found it very interesting. He said that it is the Quran was it discovered or brought into regular use something like 1400 years ago?
Yeah, it was revealed.
And 1400 that was it.
Yeah.
And he was telling me about the accent of the Arabic that was used, is still used in Mecca, and he was saying that it doesn't contradict science. So he was explaining he's a dentist and he, in theory, could use the science from the Quran. It's still relevant now, which I found fascinating. I would quite like to go and discover more about that.
Yeah.
The other thing that I found extremely interesting is I work with a lot of young people with mental health problems.
And
the gentleman who was writing my name for me was explaining that I thought it was lovely that this 17, he was 17 when I started working with him, he's now 18, and Islam is just part of his life, which in the UK it's almost embarrassing to have a religion. For a lot of the young people I work with, they don't have a religion, they avoid religion, whereas for this young man it's so important in his life. And I think that's lovely. And the gentleman I was talking to said, it's just a way of life. It's part of growing up. One of the things that you have there to help you become more resilient, which is, a really important thing. And
true.
I don't mean that necessarily Islam is missing from everybody's lives, but there is something missing. So it's very nice that he was saying that in your Islamic community, suicide and mental health problems aren't as large a problem as they are in general as they are.
This is
press.
So
no,
I agree with that. I would echo the same sentiments. Yeah. It's because obviously
so it's doing something right, isn't it?
yeah. Anyway, I think we don't want to take too much more of your time, and I'll just finish off by giving you a copy of the Quran.
Thank you very much.
This is an English translation.
Yep.
Hopefully you can read it.
I hope
when
so
you
too.
read it, just bear in mind it's religious text.
Yep.
So it's not like a storybook, a novel.
Yep.
So when you read it with that thought in mind, and read it in that mode as well.
Yes.
That it's a religious text.
But thank you for putting on an exhibition like this in this area. I think
no problem. Thank you.
Often you're given a bad name in the press, this religion, and it's unfair.
No, that's the main purpose of these type of exhibitions, to explain to everyone, inform the true teachings and the peaceful teachings, what Islam really is. And it was a pleasure meeting you. Take care.
الصبح بدا الصبح بدا الصبح بدا الصبح بدا الصبح بدا الصبح بدا الصبح بدا.
Absolutely fabulous that you've came into the community and told us a bit about your lifestyle and your religion. It's very generous to give all the reading materials and to even offer refreshments. I think it's great. Hopefully I'll learn a bit from the things I read. Very happy to have taken 10 minutes out of my day and came and spoke to everyone. Everyone's been really helpful and friendly.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله
I found it really interesting. It was really welcoming as well. As soon as I came in, there was somebody there to welcome me in and to talk to me. But yeah, it's really interesting. There's an awful lot of information here, and I've not got round all of it yet. But I've spent quite a lot of time just talking to people and asking questions. So it's definitely a positive thing. I've ended up knowing much more than when I came in. How does your calendar work, and when did the Prophet die, and things like that. But there've also been a couple of more challenging ones about how Islam treats certain aspects of life and different people, where my views have perhaps differed. But we've had a really good conversation about it, and that person understood more about where I'm coming from, and I understand more about their position on it as well. So it's good to have some challenging conversations as well as just finding out more information. I think any kind of event like this where you just open up an aspect of community, of a community to other people and say, come in and find out more, because the Muslim community around here is quite small and quite dissipated across Cumbria, then we don't get together very often or very much. Our paths don't cross that much, so it can only be a good thing, I think, if we can just get together.
Okay, thank you very much, Leila, for your time, and it was an honor having you once again. Hope we can meet again in other future events like this. Thank you very much. Okay, take care.
I thought it was lovely. I saw families, I saw culture, I saw all the different things going on. I got invited to go and read the Quran. I'd never done that before in my life. Beautiful experience. Okay. Got to listen to prayers, that was lovely. And I got to learn about all the cultures and how people live their life and how people dress and why they dress that way. Just things from a small town. I've never learnt about things like this before, and with people coming to do stuff like this, I just think it's amazing, because it's being here a couple of hours, I've learnt so much, and I don't think I could have learnt this without being influenced by people who come and share this experience with people. So this is like a good experience to be able to talk to people, learn about the religion, and like I say, why they do and dress in the ways that they do. People look at people dressed up, and there's some individuals I find it intimidating, whereas I'm quite curious. I like to ask questions, so I liked finding out why they did this and why this was spiritual to them, dressing in the way that they do, and why they pray the way that they do. Praying, is it 5 times a day?
That's correct.
I had never known that before. That is, I learned how to fit it into your daily life, especially if you work, how to fit it in. It's been absolutely brilliant. I think more people need to be educated, because like I say, it's such a beautiful religion, and people show it on the bodies. I think you know if a man or woman is a Muslim just with the way that they dress themselves, and I just think it's a beautiful religion. We need to learn more. Like I say, in Whitehaven, I know of 2 families, and I've lived here all of my life. I don't think it's that common, but it's definitely changed my opinion on I didn't realise that such similarities from growing up a Catholic to the Muslim religion. There's a lot of similarities which I didn't notice. I knew there were similarities between Judaism and Christianity, but I didn't make the link between being a Muslim and being a Christian. And there's actually quite a lot of links that are together which I didn't know before. Everyone was open to talking about the religion, why religious ceremonies happen, where they happen, and even little children were coming up to me and talking about their religion, just so proud. I feel like there's places where people feel uncomfortable to be able to be proud of their religion and how they feel about themselves, but there's a room full of people here today who are showing who they are and how they dress and how the family acts, and it's something to be proud of, and I feel like they're showing it off today in a very proud manner. Yeah, in a positive manner. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no
Ellie.
problem.
I appreciate that, just taking the time and talking to us.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely
I
fine.
appreciate it. Thanks very much again.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
The first thing that struck me was the variety of different people here from different parts of, mainly from Lancashire, from Bingley, from Preston, from Bradford, and then one or two locals. And I think it's good that people make the effort really to share belief. I've also been doing a bit of work locally with some refugees from Syria, and they are Muslim, and I thought it's an ideal opportunity. You made the effort. It's a marvellous exhibition. Yeah. There's so much information here.
Maybe too much, would you say?
I don't think so. Not too much. It's at the right. You've got electronic, you've got TV, you've got books, you've got artifacts, you've got cultural references, religious references, way of life references, things like this, which is amazing, and it just shows what's going on in the world. Having it here for a week would be good, and then you could engage with schools, because bringing young people around, young people are open to this kind of thing. School teachers locally would love an event like this, because you've got so much interactive material, you've got so many staff here. You could have, I worked in a college for 25 years. We used to go to Liverpool and we'd have a look round. They were health and social care students, so we'd go to the hospital and such. But one place we did visit was a mosque in Liverpool, and it was great time for question and answer. And these were adults. But to bring, if I could imagine as a teacher bringing a class in here, either religious education or ethics or history or just cultural geography class, crosses so many disciplines, they'd find it fascinating because it's such a good exhibition. So I came today really just to get a little bit more information and a bit more in depth. But one of the great things, Ahmed, as well, is just this kind of thing, talking to each other, because you can pick a book up, you can read that, but to actually interact with people, and you've got young people here, and you've got right up to right range,
59,
and man. So that's where that's the real value of it. That's the value of it, and that's the most valuable thing, isn't it? A personal interaction.
It was very informative, and I was amazed at the amount of things that you brought into the area and the space that you've used, and just the sheer amount of it, the sheer diversity of the things that you brought here today. I think just for me to understand a bit more about Islam, it's not something that I know a lot about, and there's not that many people in this local area who follow that faith probably. So it was just very good to have some more people coming to the area to explain what their faith is, what that means to them. It breaks down the sort of some of the myths and some of the barriers and some of the preconceived ideas we all have about different things, and by explaining it and allowing people to see and communicate together, that definitely helps break down those barriers.
Thank you, Stuart. It was a pleasure having you here. Thanks for taking time out answering questions.